Welcome back to Knowledge Talks, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host Tariq Al Barwani, along with our studio engineer Mohammed Al-Shabibi, with you here live today on Oman Radio FM 90.4. SMEs, entrepreneurs, and challenges is words commonly discussed in the Sultanate lately. Nevertheless, what are the tips for building a successful business? Needless to mention the opportunities that is available today for people to create a winning business. Well, my guest today has all the answers for you, inshallah, and he is none but Mr. Abdullah Al Jufaili, a great man with a mission to support building entrepreneurs in Oman. Abdullah Al Jufaili started his career as a freelancer providing IT solutions to small companies. This was during his sophomore year in 1998 at Florida Atlantic University, where he earned his bachelor's in managing information systems. Now, after graduation, Abdullah worked for several organizations, including Bank Muscat, the Public Authority for Investment Promotion and Export Development, formerly known as OCPAD, the Public Establishment for Industrial Estate, Shell, and currently he is the General Manager of Sharakah. Over his 13 years of experience, he has engaged with many business owners of small and medium enterprises. In 2006, he completed his master's program in managing information technology from Salford University, UK. He is the co-founder, editor, and writer of Rawat magazine. Additionally, he is a member of many committees related to entrepreneurship and innovation. Today, he is my guest here at Knowledge Talks, and there is a great learning to extract from him on entrepreneurship, opportunities available, and how anyone can create winning proposal to get necessary funds to support their ideas. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Ustad Abdullah, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks a lot for this opportunity to be at this great show. I'm delighted to be here and share a little bit of what I know, and I believe other people there know a lot more.
Okay, one thing before I start the program is I want to say that I made a typo of saying 13. You have 17 years, mashallah.
Yeah.
But I think that 17 is too small. For me, I think you've got more than that rich experience. I recall very, very well, of course, I knew you way before when I was young. I mean, you're one of the people that I respect very, very high, and I have a lot of learning from you. But I recall our last meeting was at the Challenge 22 in Qatar, when I had the opportunity to sit with you and speak to you about SMEs, entrepreneurs in Oman, and the wealth of knowledge that you have. The mission that is upon you, mashallah, to build great Omanis and entrepreneurs in the country is big, is fat, is titanic. And that's why today I said, Abdullah, I need to have that. I don't want to be selfish and have that knowledge only taken for myself. I usually do that. But anyway, this time I said that knowledge has to go to everyone in Oman, people to learn and know all about that. Now, before I start with the topic today, could you kindly share about Sharakah as a business and its history, and what do you all do in Sharakah?
Great. Let me start by Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Secondly, thanking you again for this opportunity to be here. I think my voice is fine, yeah?
Very fine. Very right. Very good.
So basically, Sharakah, officially known as Fund for Development of Youth Projects, is an organization that was incorporated back in 1998 and started operation in 1999. It focuses on development of small and medium enterprises and providing financial solutions and post-financial solutions. I would like to emphasize on what I mean by post-financial solutions, because there's a number of organizations that are providing financial solutions for SMEs. And what we are lacking in the market, and what we really need, and what SMEs really need, it's what you do or what you provide to them post-financing to ensure that they sustain in the market, grow. I always use this phrase, growing from being in a specific wilayat to grow to a governorate, to grow across Oman, and why not grow across the region or internationally.
MashaAllah.
That's the motto that basically drives what we do. We would like to see Omani businesses competing internationally, not only competing locally. So that's Sharakah very quickly. We offer financial solutions. We have 3 different schemes for financing. We finance up to 200,000 Omani riyals.
MashaAllah. Okay.
We've got a bill discounting scheme, a loan scheme, and an equity scheme where we go into partnership with the business owner. But again, I'm focusing on what we do post-financing. We really have established and developed tools that we use internally to monitor the business performance, and that starts with the risk assessment tool, where we identify all risks associated with a particular business, and then we try to, in a way, put a mitigation strategy to minimize the effect of those risks. We also look at how business performs. So we've developed this tool that's called Business Performance Monitoring Tool, which basically assesses the performance of the business at any given stage. We look at generally 8 criteria. In each criteria, there's between 5 to 7 sub-criteria, all in total about 48 criteria. And in that, we look at, for instance, how this business is performing in terms of its marketing, its quality of services or products that are being produced, administration, how do they manage the business, HR, how satisfied the employees are, because ultimately they are the ones who are carrying forward that particular organization, let it be small, medium, or even large. So basically that's it. I mean, I would welcome any questions related to Sharakah, but I believe we've got a lot more to cover, and time would really run fast. So I wouldn't mind taking this opportunity to do a little bit of advertisement of Sharakah, but I believe that we will have to be fair to the listeners out there, and probably they have many questions related to SMEs in general, as well as the opportunities that are available for SMEs.
MashaAllah, you are very unique, by the way. I really like that. You know, many of the people or guests that I invite them who represent certain organization, they will take many big chunk of time speaking about their organization. Of course, they're all doing a great. You have summed up very well about Sharakah, MashaAllah. And then you come back and you say, but I would like to focus on giving value. And that shows your quality. Allah bless you always, MashaAllah.
Allah khalik.
Now, today's topic is on SMEs. Their challenges and opportunities available. I would like to start by your opinion on Oman's SME state today. What's your opinion?
Well, SMEs in general, I have to say, we've probably known the term SME at an average level. An average person on the street would tell you what an SME is in general. I would say we're still at the very beginning stages as a sector. We still have a lot to do. The government has realized from long back that SMEs would play a major role in the development of the economy as well as the development of the community itself, and it would contribute towards diversification of the economy and the income resources, basically creating jobs, boosting innovation, if you will, and basically helping to minimize the number of job seekers in the community. And this is not a strategy that is only Oman has adopted. It's worldwide. Any nation, any country realizes the importance of providing the base or the structure that would encourage people to start their own businesses and then grow, as I said, from being micro to small to medium to even large. However, again, I would say in Oman, when it comes to SME development, we are still at the very early stages. At least we have realized this importance. There is a number of initiatives, let it be from the public sector or the private sector. The focus at the moment, I would say, is mostly on creating awareness about the importance of SME and providing the basic need of services that would encourage people to start their businesses. If we would like to take this forward to the next level and start assessing how much SMEs are really contributing towards the goals that we have set earlier, and these goals, as I said, related to, for instance, diversifying the economy, contributing to the development of the community, creating job opportunities, then we really need to focus on the quality of services or goods being produced by these SMEs. And we need to also focus on these SMEs and the way they operate. Is it at a standard that they could compete with larger organization? Is it at a standard that it could compete with organizations that are based regionally? Because we need to realize with globalization, and we need to realize with access to different markets, we need to realize with the availability of the internet as well as so many means of transportation in the world right now. There's so many airlines just in this region that SMEs are not only competing with local SMEs, they are competing with regional SMEs, if you will, if not international SMEs, especially for those who are providing only services, that probably some of them would provide these services online. Chances are the consumer at the end of the day may choose to go with a company that is based in Oman, or may choose to go with a company that is based in somewhere in the region, Dubai or elsewhere. So what I say is, when we talk about development of SMEs, we need to start moving to the next level. And the next level is ensuring that these SMEs are not only starting. We need to ensure that they sustain, grow, and become, at a level where they could compete with larger organizations, meaning their quality and the services that they're providing are at that high level.
Okay.
Do stop me at any point of time. I get excited and I start to talk.
No, I love it when you get excited. And if I could have gotten approval to extend more hours, I would have done it. You speak gold that comes out of your work. And people in Oman and decision makers need to take this very, very seriously, because whatever you've shared is very valuable and very important. So please do, by all means, continue. A few points of what you've shared right now that I would like to touch upon is when you said the basic needs for these SMEs, what are they that is being provided to? Is it funds only?
So everyone, if you ask anyone on the street who wants to start a business, what is stopping you, and they would say finance.
Yes.
Now, I don't want to go into a debate on that. Indeed, everyone needs money to start a business. But that's not the only thing.
They need knowledge.
They need knowledge. They need to have a proper plan and strategy in place. They need to know the market. And they need to know whom their target client would be at the end of the day. So that's, from one side, is a homework that they need to do. On the other hand, we need to have the framework for these SMEs to grow and to start their businesses. Some businesses would have the money, would have the finance, and probably the market would be there for them to start selling their services and products. But then the framework, and what I mean by the framework is, number one, the legal system, regulations, whatever support that is being provided by the business community. We are still not at a stage where SMEs could really take advantage of it and start, flourishing and growing. Let me give clear examples so that the listeners would not be, in a way, thinking, what is it that I'm talking about? Let's start with the regulations. I speak honestly and I speak out of experience. At the moment, lots of those who would want to start a business from day one would want to go to the concerned authorities and register the business and get everything, the paperwork and everything in place so that they could start.
Yes.
There are so many obstacles still, starting from not having a very clear system. I believe that the concerned authorities are working very hard. Recently, they have announced, what is called the one-stop shop and online services. Some of these services are already being provided online, and anyone who has any kind of request can go online and understand what it needs to start a business. However, we are still at the very early stages. We want to reach at a level whereby someone from his mobile devices can get all the information that they need, not only to register a business, but also to get the licenses, to be connected with several other government organizations so that they know that I can have a one window where I could apply for all the needs my business want. Let it be employment, asking for employment permits, let it be getting the municipality permits, let it be getting certain licenses, whether it's environmental licenses or civil defense licenses and so forth. So from one end, we need to really relook at the way the public sector is offering services for the private sector, specifically small enterprises or startup enterprises, and assess whether we are providing a quality service that would enable them to just lift up from the day they have decided to start a business. So that's from one end. The other end, which I always talk about whenever I get opportunities like these, community members. To what extent we give trust to local businesses? I mean, if you look at certain brands, some people have already been brought up and got used to certain brands. They would always go and buy those brands.
Yeah.
And the same goes to even corporate consumers who would probably deal with larger organizations when they want consultation services, branding services, financial services. There's always these big names that have been kind of dominating the market.
Yeah.
Smaller businesses that are starting in this specific sectors are finding it very difficult to get a little bit or a piece of that big cake, because the larger businesses have already taken the full cake. So it's really something that me, you, and everyone else who is listening out there have a hand or a say in it, by saying that I am going to give an opportunity to a smaller business based in Oman at first, and then would look at a larger organization or an organization that is based outside of Oman. And by doing so, spending locally, encouraging smaller businesses that are based in Oman to get income from providing services or selling products, we are really going to contribute towards the economic development of the country. So that's the second thing, which is related to the community itself. We need to give more trust to smaller businesses. But on the other hand as well, we need to be fair. Larger organizations or even consumers are looking for quality products and services, and they would not want to, in a way, compromise on that. So you need to be fair and to say to the startup businesses or businesses that have just started providing certain services for the first time, that you need to upgrade your level of service or the quality of the product that you're providing. And if you can't, then chances are I am bound to buy a product that I believe has a better quality. So again, the message is, from one end, if I can kind of put it into three pillars, is the regulations, the framework.
Is it improved?
It is improving, definitely. And there is lots of effort from certain government organization, and there is direction from higher ups to ensure that the public sector is meeting the demand of the private sector. But we kind of have some way to go before we reach a stage where we could say it's a flourishing economic kind of environment.
Looking at the speed and the pace, how long will it take? Yeah.
Well, it depends. I mean, I can't answer that with one statement to say that it's slow, fast, or average, because it depends from one organization to another. Also within the organization, it depends one rule or legislation or process from another. So there are some processes, some services that are now being provided that are really easing the process of establishing a business or the process of getting licenses. But then there are others that need still to be revised and re-looked at. Second, again, I emphasize, is the role of community members. We as consumers, we need to give trust to local businesses. We need to buy locally. All of those listeners out there who would take opportunity in every long vacation and go and spend money in a neighboring country, that money could be spent locally.
Very good, yeah.
I have a motto as well. I say to everyone, you spend $1 here or you spend $1 in a neighboring country. Think about the effect of that $1 that you have spent. You spent it locally here, you're really developing the community. You spent it in a neighboring country, you are developing that country, basically.
I respect that, I love that. Okay.
And then again, the role is on the SMEs themselves. Some would be really excited, they would start a business and they would be making income in a way, but then they would not start to think about what's the next stage, how do I take my business to the next level.
Okay, I respect that very, very well. And the pyramid that you shared, mashallah, is a framework by itself, by the way. MashaAllah.
Thank you.
Have you introduced this to some of the...
And we talk about this. I'm a member in a number of committees at a number of public sector organizations related to SMEs, development, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And one of the things that I always talk about is having an SME or entrepreneurship ecosystem.
Okay.
And what I mean by that, it's not one organization or one individual or one company that could do everything. It's not just about funding. It's not just about regulation. It's not just about consumer. All of us in this community have a role to play in supporting the development of SMEs in Oman. Starts from the family at home, encouraging youngsters, if they are in a way keen to start their own business, to give them the boost to say, go ahead and do it. Even try it. If you can't succeed, I mean, not everyone is going to be an entrepreneur, but at least if they see that someone starting young, having that kind of thought that they would like to own their own businesses, give them the encouragement tools for them to flourish. The government organizations, the private sector, give opportunities to SMEs. Try to hold their hands. And I'm not saying here spoon feeding. There's a difference between the two.
Sure.
But hold their hands, encourage them, and give them the opportunities for them to provide the services and the products, and give them direction. I mean, ultimately, probably they would not be from day one providing the services at a quality that probably some certain organization are aspiring them to be. But with giving them direction, with having programs to develop these SMEs, I'm sure in years to come we would have very strong base for SMEs that have the opportunity to even grow to become large organizations.
Inshallah. Tell me one thing. Now I understand that you're saying the one of the things that is provided, that is given, like a basic need, which is finance, is available now. Correct?
Probably some of the listeners would have a debate on that, but I would say generally finance is available. There is not only one government or public or private sector organization that is providing finance. If I can name few, I could say every bank at the moment is providing financial solutions for SMEs. It may vary. They may not have all products that serve everyone's needs, but they are commercial banks that are providing services for SMEs. Apart from the commercial banks, there is also a government organization starting with the Al-Rafad Fund, providing up to 100,000 Omani Riyals for anyone who would like to start the business. There is Oman Development Fund Bank. There is
Sharakah, 200,000.
Yeah, I always try not to sound to take an opportunity to advertise the organization I represent, but there is also Sharakah providing up to 200,000 Omani Riyals, and there is also the private sector organization. There is Grofen, there is NCPM. There are other organizations as well, apart from funding, providing other services like the Zubair Center for Small and Medium Enterprises, providing incubation and hand-holding and mentoring services. There is the National Business Center based at Knowledge Oasis Muscat. Basically, there are so many organizations out there that are providing. And on top of all of these, I know we are coming to probably a break. On top of all of these, there is the Public Authority for Small and Medium Enterprises, where anyone who has any questions or did not cover all the information, you could go to them and ask, where can I go if I want to start a business?
MashaAllah. Before I take the break, you're very sharp. You even noticed that I wanted to go for break. We're going to get back to the program, ladies and gentlemen, after a quick break as we learn how to go about getting the funds. Welcome back to Knowledge Talks, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Tariq Al Barwani, along with our DJ, Mohammed Al Arimi. Indeed, with you here live today on Oman Radio FM 90.4. Interesting discussion, valuable information, and indeed a lot of learning. Me personally, I'm learning a lot of learning today from Mr. Abdullah Al Jufaili, the general manager of Sharakah. He doesn't want to advertise it, but anyway, the man is, mashallah, a man of mission. Abdullah, we before the music break, we talked about that there are a lot of opportunities for financing.
Yes.
And that's very, very good. And you mentioned the name of companies that is available over there, and the money can go from 100,000 up to 200,000. MashaAllah. So there are opportunities. That's the good news. I want to know one thing. I'm sure the listeners, what they have in their heads right now is that, but then, okay, so there are opportunities. These are the organization. But now, how do I go about going to get the funds?
Let me start by saying first, probably just to answer this question, I need another 30 minutes.
Okay.
But
it's all yours.
I'll try to keep it short. I always feel like there's a lot to say, and time is short when it comes to addressing issues like these. I want to firstly again emphasize for everyone who is out there, if you have any questions related to starting a business and SMEs, the number one government organization that you need to go to is the Public Authority for Small and Medium Enterprises. They are based in Ghala. Their brand name is Riyada. They are available on social media, and they are available on their website. I can't remember the exact address of their website. And we always welcome you at Sharakah. Should you have any kind of questions, I can tell you what's our website. And again, I don't mean
please do. No, I think you should.
This is just again so that I can provide access to people.
Please do.
So you could find us on Twitter. It's Sharakah, spelled SHARAKAH. On Facebook. On Instagram, not yet, but you could also find our website, which is sharakah.om. Again, it's sharakah.om. You have any questions, please email us or try to get in touch with us through any of the social media network, basically. There are a number of organizations that are providing finance, and I would say not only to 200,000. Some organizations, I mean, combined private sector as well as public sector, it could go up to, if we consider the commercial banks, up to 5 million Omani riyals.
Really?
Obviously, the what you call it, the conditions would vary from one organization to another.
Okay.
Probably one of the difficulties and challenges that those who want to start a business fresh, they cannot approach a bank because banks normally they don't do fresh startups. They do existing businesses that have been in operation for at least 6 months or 1 year. But for those who just want to start fresh, again, they could go to a Rafad, they could go to Sharakah, they could go to Oman Development Bank, and all of these organizations would provide them with the necessary means for them to start a business. So that's from the financial side. But the other basic needs that people would need is basically to get guidance, having in place a clear business plan to start their business. Some people would come to me and say, I don't need a business plan and I can start a business, or I have been running my business successfully for the past 2 or 3 years without a business plan. Great. But if I ask you, where were you and where your business is right now and where are you heading? Could you answer me that question?
Very good.
Here, status quo or status of where the business was and where it is and where it's going to go. And you can only do that if you have a proper strategy, a proper business plan, where you assess exactly your business in terms of how much it's making right now, how much was it making 2 years or 3 years back, and how much you aspire for it to make as income in 5 years' time, and whether you've got the resources available for you to grow to that ambitious plan in 5 years or 3 years. That really requires a business plan. As well as you need to keep in mind starting a business in the specific sector that you are in right now, it does not stay constant. You might be one of the leading companies in your particular sector at a given point of time. But then other competitors might either improve the level of service or products that they are providing, or new competitors might come into the market and take a little bit of that pie that you already have in the market. So you need to constantly plan for the future and kind of predict what would happen if certain commodities prices increases, if certain regulations changes, if certain, let's say, consumer taste changes. All of that affects the business ultimately. And if you don't have a proper plan, you're not going to be able to kind of take turns to minimize the effect or make or reap the benefits of certain events that might happen in the future to make it to the benefit of your business. So a business plan is very, very important.
Is there a training the people can go and undertake, especially there's a lot of entrepreneurs who are specialists and not business minded?
There is many organizations, again, I would say, providing training workshops on how to develop a business plan. At the moment, again, the Public Authority for Small and Medium Enterprises, known short as RIADA, is doing a number of courses on business planning, on financial planning, and so forth.
Free?
But free of charge. And some of them they would charge a very minimum fee just to support those who would like to start a business.
Okay.
But I would say the best way to learn to develop a business plan is to really sit in front of that PC or take a piece of paper and a pen and really start to ask yourself certain questions. I could provide a template. We have it on our website, or there are different canvases that they could use. These questions start with, why do you really want to start a business? What's your motive? I have classified during the time that I have provided workshops over at least 11 years now on SMEs and financial planning and startup businesses. I have classified the motives of those who would like to start a business into 3 categories. They are those who are starting a business because they've got nothing else to do. I'm free, I'm sitting home, my friend has started a business, I might as well do one. And then there are those who would start a business because they just want to make money. You ask them, what is it that you want ultimately? They said, I want to be a millionaire. That's not bad.
That's good.
And then there are those who would start a business because they see that there's a certain need in the market or the community that is not being fulfilled.
Those are winners.
These are the winners.
Yeah.
Now, none of them is bad, but those, the first ones, who would start a business because they've got nothing better to do, chances are, and this is again based on my experience having met so many SMEs, not only in Oman, even in regionally, delivering workshops on financial planning and so forth. Those who have nothing better to do and would start a business, once they either get a job, they would just leave and desert that business. Or they get occupied with something else, they would leave the business. Those who are in it just to make money, chances are, if they find alternative ways of making money, or if they reach a certain amount of money or a certain number that they have in mind, they would stop or sell the business or do something else. Those who are driven because, or they started a business because they believe that certain services or certain thing needs to be changed in the community, they would never stop. They would continue to be there because they have an eye to identify certain things in the community that needs to be provided better.
MashaAllah.
And chances are they would make a difference or positive change here in a certain area, and then they would identify another area where they would say, also these needs a little bit of change or to be provided better.
Okay, I respect that fully. I've got 2 questions now that we are almost finishing up the program. One is the news headlines today was the oil price is going down. The government is delaying
certain plans,
certain big projects,
yes,
and then also the big companies who depend on these projects are not hiring and freezing employment, and as a consequence, it is something probably to worry. That was in the news headline today.
Yes.
Does this impact SMEs?
It's part of an ecosystem. Sometimes something that is happening in a country outside of the region would impact SMEs. Let me give you a very direct example of something that happened probably 3 or 4 years back. I don't want to mention a particular country for reasons, but there are certain regulations related to bringing expatriate employees from a certain country. The regulations changed. The fees that any Omani business would have to pay to bring that expatriate employee increased. Services that are being provided to those particular expatriate employees were expanded, and ultimately that has increased the I would say the expenses column of any business here locally, apart from other processes and procedures that they needed to have in place. So we are not living in isolation. Any changes that happen to the economy, whether in Oman or outside of Oman, would have an impact this way or the other. Certain commodities, the oil price, for instance, those businesses that are in a way dependent on importing certain materials from abroad, in some cases, the price of that commodity in particular has increased, not because the commodity itself has increased in price, but transporting that commodity from that country to Oman because of the oil price fluctuation, decreases or increases, would affect the process of transporting that good, would affect ultimately how much an SME or a business would pay to get that commodity into Oman. So we don't live in isolation. It's an ecosystem. Anything that changes in it has an effect. It could be positive and it could be negative in some cases.
Okay. The market, the other question is this is my personal opinion, is I think the market is quite saturated with the number of product and services that is available right now here. And I've realized that most of these SMEs, entrepreneurs, with the number of funds that they get, they end up doing businesses that is already available or existing. In your opinion, do you think innovation is the key, or do you think, no, I think that's fine, people can continue doing that? Looking at the market saturation and your valuable feedback, and how can this be tackled?
You ask very good questions, and I always say in my mind that I need more time to answer these questions, and I'm just trying to keep it short.
Inshallah.
We've got the copycat syndrome.
Okay.
At least that's what I'm calling it. So a Karak store is open today at this corner. Tomorrow you're going to find 8 of them on the same street.
Yeah.
A business that goes into, for instance, starting a coffee shop or a beauty salon or something, and is successful, you would find others copying them. In general, people feel very comfortable to adopt a model that is already there, rather than starting something completely fresh and not available in the market. And this is not only in Oman, it's happening
all over the world. Yeah.
It's all over the world. Apart from certain areas where people say, I'm looking for that thing that is not available in the local market, and I would like to provide it. This happens sometimes, but very rare. We have supported some businesses that have really looked at what is not available and how can we provide it. And it's not rocket science, because some people would ask me the question, so tell us what is not available. I cannot tell you what business you should venture into. You need to decide that on your own, because you have to also have the knowledge and expertise to manage that business ultimately. But if you are looking at starting something that is not available in the market, you could start by looking at a list of all goods that are being imported to Oman from elsewhere, and that if you approach a certain organization like Chamber of Commerce and Industry, you could get that list. Look at the top 100 list of goods that are being imported to Oman, and ask yourself the question: could this be produced locally? If they could, if the raw materials are available, if we've got the expertise to develop these goods, why not?
That's fantastic.
Let's do them.
Yeah,
And
fantastic.
again, we have supported recently at least 2 projects that are very unique in nature. They have identified a niche need in the market, and they said we are the only one. Not only in Oman, but they also, I can't say who they are right now because they are in the development stages right now to set up their manufacturing unit. Hopefully we can announce that towards the end of this year. But they have identified a very unique need in the market, and they are manufacturing those particular goods at the moment.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah.
So that's a recommendation that you would give for organizations that would like to do something new and unique.
Go out there and research. Don't just say that business X has succeeded and I'm going to replicate that.
Yeah. The companies, or how do these people who provide the funds, so for example Sharakah, Raftu, وما شابه ذلك, the ones that are out there already, are now they realize that there's those copycat syndrome. Do they also just provide the funding?
Well, ultimately, I mean, also for us, I'm not going to reject someone who comes and knock the door and say, I would like to get financial support for a business that I have, so long as it's viable. And so long as the market's still not saturated in that particular sector that they are approaching. Majority of businesses that are that are receiving support at the moment are in the food and beverage. The market still, can accommodate more.
Still ripe.
Yes, still ripe. The reason why there has been a shift in the lifestyle, I would say, from the late 90s until now. If we look at probably my generation, and people would start wondering now how old I am.
You're very young, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I can tell you that. But if you look at the older generation, we used to mostly eat at home, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it was rare for someone to go and have to bring their guests to a restaurant or something. But now, you see all of these youngsters hardly eat at home, and they like to try something new every day. So the market is there. Apart from having the increased number of tourism that are coming to Oman who would like to try and experience something new. So you go now to any shopping mall, you go to any restaurants, and you find that in every cafe, every restaurant, there's at least half of the seats are taken. People are dining or eating outside or even having breakfast outside. So this probably you would not have seen back in the 80s or early 90s, but you see it more and more right now.
Yeah, back on those days as well, there's a lot of shop where people sell music CDs, movie CDs and DVDs where they close down.
Yeah.
Now there's a number of people who are getting, I think they've started recently or so, in this generation and so on, with this healthy lifestyle and so on. Do you think, in your opinion, there's going to be closing down these restaurants and so on? Because there's too many junk food out there. I just want to know your I really respect. You are a visionary.
I'm trying to differentiate between personal opinion and what I see as completely. I mean, I would encourage everyone to eat healthy. But I'm also a person who really loves food.
Okay, mashallah. Yeah, but so you think these businesses will still remain for another more years?
Would still remain. I mean, you can't really say that everyone would suddenly shift into a healthy lifestyle. But and there are also those who would want to shift to a healthy lifestyle, but it doesn't mean that they only eat salads every day. From time to time, you have to eat something that is mouth-watering and tasty. So that's not going to change.
But looking now an example of now you've got this Fitbit, health trackers, and all those things. If you look at the trend, it's moving in that end. I just thought of an idea. I might be coming and joining you, Sharakah, with an idea, maybe a health lifestyle restaurant. Oh yeah, we'll talk about.
I mean, there are already some who are offering a healthy diet. I don't want to mention names right now, otherwise I'll be advertising for them.
Yeah.
And there is a trend generally that there are certain people that what they have in mind is to eat healthy. Yeah. But then also, it's not just about the food. It's a complete lifestyle. There are people who would eat healthy but not eat consistently or proportionately. or not kind of maintain any kind of physical activities throughout the day, or sit for a long time in the office. I'm the very first person to blame when it comes to that. And that's all not healthy. A healthy lifestyle is not just about the food. It's also about the way you go about waking up early, not staying up all night, doing a little bit of exercises every day, and so forth.
You have, mashallah, you're a multi-skill set with you're a well-rounded person, mashallah. This is not going to be the end of our program today. I mean, 1 hour was too short. I expected we will finish quite early, and then I got the studio engineer showing me some Tariq, you gotta get out. But anyway, a lot of learning is there, and we have a lot to discuss, which I'll be inviting you, inshallah, very soon. Probably going to talk about health as well, because mashallah, you are healthy, you are handsome, you're cool, mashallah. So that's also something that we will need to talk about and others to learn. Anything you wish to share before end of our program today?
Well, I again, I would like to thank you for this opportunity. I believe that there is a lot to talk about that I could not cover, and time run really, really fast. But if there's a message, and I have a minute or two?
You do. Yes, you do.
If there's a message that I would like to send out to everyone who is listening, if you are thinking of starting a business, stop thinking and take some action. That's one. Two, don't wait for the perfect opportunity, because that probably may not happen. The opportunity is now. Three, there are so much of support that you could get from both public sector and private sector organizations. The government itself, from the higher up, are very much keen on supporting small and medium enterprises. You would hear challenges, yes. You would hear people that are facing difficulties in starting a business, yes. It's not the perfect environment, yes. But at the same time, you don't and you should not expect it to be completely perfect for you to start a business. Otherwise, everyone would. What would differentiate you, or what would make you unique from the others? 4, there are so many investment opportunities that are coming with all these large projects that are coming into the market. The railway project, the big oil and gas companies, the tourism projects, the increase of the number of tourism, the move from non-technology based to technology based services. All of these are opportunities for SMEs. And number 5, you've got all these people that are encouraging you. You've got this knowledge talk. You've got so many other media and talk shows that are talking about SME development every day. What are you waiting for? If you have that idea in your mind, start today. At least try to translate that idea into a reality instead of just sitting and saying tomorrow.
No, start today.
Today is already tomorrow, because you said tomorrow yesterday.
Beautiful words, beautiful advice from a man that is set for a mission to build great entrepreneurs in Oman, mashallah. Abdullah, thank you very much for joining us today on Oman Radio FM 90.4. You have been a great value, mashallah. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you and also wish you the very best and success in all you do, inshallah.
Allah khalik, inshallah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our program for this week. I hope you all had an intriguing time with us. Let us catch up again next week. I'm your host, Tariq Al Barwani, with my friend DJ Al Aremi, wishing you all a happy and a pleasant week. Ma'a salama.